lifetime member of the Friends of Allegany State Park, one of my favorite places to go, and probably one of my second places to go. Favorite places is the Adirondack region. I try to make it up there a couple times a year. Don't you all wish that it was like 3 hours closer or 4 hours closer and all that kind of stuff? Sure make life easy. But the Friends of Allegany State Park were formed just going on 10 years ago. They were like-minded folks that loved the park and wanted to do more than simply talk about it. Many of us were members of the Historical Society and everything. So, we had a great background in the park. Myself, I'm the second generation of four that's camped there since 1942. And just a wonderful place to go if you haven't been there. It's not quite as large as the Adirondack region, but it is the state's largest state park and the third largest state park in the nation. But I have an old man's PowerPoint up here. I kind of threw it together the past few days. Feel free to take pictures of it, whatever you want to do. But anyways, a number of topics I wanted to cover were, first of all, our parks are our safe haven, if you will. There's so much chaos going on these days, and everything else. It's nice to have a place to go to and retreat. And keep it that way, but spread the word. I know that's what you folks have been doing and all that kind of stuff, but our growth has been because of families, generational folks that have been going there and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very easy thing to tap when you have roughly 1 million visitors going to Allegany State Park, and many of them are 5, 6 generations old, and you folks are 5, 6 hours away. Servicing a region that is vast, more or less, so it's tough. But if you got friends and generations to buy into this, perhaps that's a poor way to put it, but get them excited to get them out there camping. I have a grandson now. His first trip down to Allegany about a month ago or so, and he was so excited he was crying. He didn't want to go home. He's 3.5. Over the summer on Father's Day, I threw him in the creek. We're catching crayfish and all that kind of stuff, and that's how campers are born. But anyways, membership. Pam was telling me that you folks are trying to develop your social media. That's something that we had a huge head start on. I was in marketing in that, and when Facebook was in its infancy, I'm trying to think, MySpace was the big social media spot of the day, and I see the younger guy back there laughing. But anyways, I saw that as an opportunity, and our company started marketing not only with print, which was dying at the time, but started internet marketing. And I just started posting pictures. I wasn't by any means an expert on Allegany State Park. I just loved the park. I was living at Olean Monday through Friday at the time. I go down there and take wonderful dawn and dusk shots and wildlife and all that kind of stuff. And nobody was doing anything. And there was a page, Allegany State Park, the original page, had 20,000 likes, not for doing anything. The guy made it. He loved the park. Nobody did anything. So I was just posting on the visitors post thing. And I asked the guy, hey, say, can I moderate this thing? Can I be, and he said, sure, go for it. And took that from 20,000 likes to 43,000 likes. And we started the original Friends of Allegany Facebook page roughly at our inception, and that was about 9.5 years ago. That's at 12,000 likes. And then I dabbled in Instagram, which is the younger generation's Facebook, if you will. And Twitter, those allegedly people that tweet have more money, so I read somewhere, but they're not campers, I can tell you that. So we have about 3,600 followers on Instagram and about 600 followers on Twitter. But, and I always, I saw some videos of Allegany, so I got a little obsessed with that, and I have about 400 videos of Allegany and each unique cabin, et cetera, and spot on there. So it's nice that this is all affiliated with the Friends of Allegany for our growth and the interest of folks that might not take the time to explore it. They're able to do it virtually and then, go for the real McCoy. Like I was telling this young lady here, I shot myself in the foot. I can't get my favorite cabins anymore, and the park's overcrowded and everything. And I was talking to Pam's husband about COVID campers. They've invaded our wonderful parks, and they leave their diapers in the fire pits and stuff like that. It's crazy. So they really those parks really need folks like us, obviously, and I'm preaching to the crowd, you know. So, you know, this is the best paycheck we could ever earn, basically, and none of us are paid, but it's a nice, selfless thing to do, and hopefully other people will catch on, because Lord knows the nation could use it. But at least we're all making our little part of the world a nicer place to live. And so, that's a brief on social media. Gosh, there's so many other things out there now. I'm not going to do a TikTok channel, you know, and trying to think of just a number of things. But Facebook is a slightly older generation thing. It's starting to lose ground a little bit to all these other things out there. But Facebook is good. And how you develop that social media is not a lone job. I just, you know, I love it. I do a lot of photography, stuff like that, mediocre photography. And that's the wonderful thing is like, oh, this is so cool. And I said, no, it's not. It's a really lousy shot, but you love Allegany, so you give me a like. But anyways, all of you have cameras, no doubt, right on your phone. And it's an opportunity for you to share the beautiful moments that you have in the Adirondack region with the moderator or the administrator of your page. So it's just not boring. Like, I can't get down to Allegany every week and people are asking me how the snow conditions are. But collectively, you can have a heck of a Facebook page by simply texting, you know, forwarding some pictures from your recent trip, and the administrator should give you credit where credit is due. And, you know, this was this week up at Cranberry Lake or Lake Placid or wherever your favorite haunt is. So share that responsibility, grow your page, and then ask other people to share it. Every member should share that link as much as possible, because every member here is linked to a bunch of people that probably love the Adirondack region as well, okay? So sharing is a big thing. Revenue sources, is that a point of interest? Okay, well, we have a lot of revenue sources. Membership is one. Our number one is grants. Grants are readily available. Parks and Trails New York is the volunteer hub for all the Friends, something like 76 Friends groups that are throughout New York State. They are friends of parks, of trails, and state parks and everything else. And they offer $1 million in grant funding annually. And everyone thinks it's a lot of work to write a grant. Okay, but each one gets easier because you just kind of copy and paste the stuff from the year before and everything. You get used to it, and pretty soon you're knocking down some serious money. But you have to have a cause, and you have to, you know, justify it, et cetera, et cetera. So grants are our number one moneymaker, and dues are very good. We just hit 74 lifetime members, and we're cheap. It's $1.50 a pop for a lifetime membership, $250 for a family lifetime membership. Our annual dues are only $10, and our annual family dues are $20. And you know, we can, inflation and all that kind of stuff, we're probably at 1970 prices, but nevertheless, we have continuing members. And many of those members do not attend to our events and all that kind of stuff. They just love the park and want to support us in supporting the park. So that's a good way to pitch that. And your social media pages, not only the beautiful stuff, the beautiful pictures of your park, you can use that as a fundraiser and get the events like this out here, get more people in the community interested, because despite, you know, we're 6 hours away or whatever your favorite part of the park is, there's a ton of people that love the Adirondacks in Western New York, and this is a pretty centralized region. I understand Erie County still has like 10,000 people in it, so that was a joke. Okay, but the other revenue sources we have, if I can remember. Sorry. I'm sorry, grants, membership dues, annual lifetime and family lifetime memberships. We have an annual photo contest, and there's a gentleman here from Ohio. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him on the phone, and for the past 6 years, he's raised over $20,000 having an annual photo contest of Allegheny State Park photos. So the people, our stakeholders in the photo contest, more or less, or the calendar, the annual calendar, he gets all these hundreds of photos in. The board, of course, the public votes on Facebook, but you know how people can kind of rally their family to vote on something that's like subpar and stuff like that. So he made a rule to avoid that, because you know it's like, whenever. But anyway, so the board gets together, votes on the final things, And he sold out in like 2 weeks. He sold, I don't know, 500 calendars in like 2 weeks and raised over $44,000 this year for a total cumulative sum of over $20,000. And I haven't even talked to this guy on the phone. I'm not even sure. We just message on Facebook. That's how we communicate. So get a bunch of volunteers like that, and you know, then you can get a company car or something. But other revenue sources. Annual Save the Red House Sawmill Raffle. We are renovating an historic sawmill. It's a steam-powered sawmill in the park that's been there since the 20s, relocated to its location in 1947, and was abandoned about 1997. They shut it down. And it is such a cool thing to see because there's so many few of these buildings, steam-powered sawmills left in, gosh, not only just New York State, but the United States alone. And although we're not going to fire it up, our main purpose is to turn it into a destination point for the park patrons. And basically, right now, it's going on our 7th year doing this. And we've raised probably about $60,000 through our raffle and our grants for that. And it's fairly on us and a lot on me. But it is a labor of love. Yes, sir.
So how do you raise money as your 503c, right?
Yes.
Nonprofit, Friends of the Allegheny. How do you decide with the Parks Department to do a project like renovating the sawmill? Or
Well,
what's the relationship between you guys and the parks, and how do you decide what to maintain,
sure.
where the money goes, and who does the work, and all that kind of stuff?
Very good. I've had a long-standing relationship with management. And, you know, I said, we're tired of cleaning fire pits and we need some meat and potatoes, more or less. So one thing that I saw, McIntosh Trail in the park had 6 cabins that were in decent condition. They were termed primitive cabins. All the rest of the cabins had been rebuilt. They've been sitting there for years. And I approached management saying, can we put these back on the market as a cheaper cabin in this loop? And they were about to be condemned. A change of management came in. I approached them, and they say, sure, they're worth salvaging. So that was a major project in 2015 in which we saved 6 cabins from demolition. They want to do more extensive work on them. They took them out of circulation, kind of disheartening last year. But the intent is still to save them and to put new foundations in them and whatever else they need. But that was a real good shot in the arm. And we did it so well that the park management asked us to do the sawmill, basically because they're short-staffed, but more so it's in the master plan of the park. Now, I don't know if the region, ADK, has a master plan or anything like that, but you know, if you pick a certain area or something, there's always something historic or something that needs preservation. I know a lot of trail work. I know Bob does a lot of trail work all over the place. But did I answer your question in 300 words or less? So, you know, it's a little different circumstance. We have a confined area, you know, it's a state park and everything, and you guys are spread out and everything. But there's so many beautiful buildings that just, you know, like driving down the Southern Tier all my life, I see a barn that's got a couple shingles missing on it, and 20 years later, you just see it decay until it's gone, you know. And there's just so many cool things that you could preserve, and this is done partially by fundraising. I'm a gentleman carpenter. I use both of those terms loosely. But it has helped our cause because I can identify structural deficiencies and things of that nature, address the problem, and then if I have to write specs for grants and things of that nature, it's easy enough for me to do, you know, based on that. But collectively, you have a lot of wisdom, be it fundraising, whatever your particular talent is, and everybody can do something. The least of everyone here has done 10 times more than 90% of the people in the public. You know, that's the beauty of volunteerism. So, you know, that's, you know, I'm just not familiar enough with your folks' circumstance as to if you concentrate on a particular area because it's such a vast area. So, but that's a start anyways. Okay, Save the Red House raffle. Donations, memorial donations, Facebook charity donations as well. If you tap into that, I've had people raise $600 on their happy birthday thing on Facebook, believe it or not, their favorite charity, whatever it might be, DAV, cancer, et cetera, et cetera. And we've been the beneficiary of, you know, a couple $1,000s, but cumulatively speaking, all these little things add up to a lot of money. We've raised over $130,000 for the park so far, which isn't too shabby. I know it's a drop in the bucket by huge grants and state this and state that, but I'm pretty proud of that fact. Amazon Smile, if you're familiar with that, it is a link to Amazon. Everybody uses Amazon. If you sign up and just do that extra click on Amazon Smile, another thing to put on your Facebook page, then it passively donates 0.5% of every purchase that you make. So, if you're an Amazon shopper, you know how quick and easy it is to amass your credit card points, however you do your tech. But anyways, 0.5% adds up very quickly. I mean, for us, it's been, I think we've been on there maybe 5 years. We've raised maybe 1,000, 1,500, whatever. But imagine if everyone bought into that, and they don't. I forget to click the link sometimes, and I could probably get that amount myself. But so many people are using that medium, and it's very easy to sign up. Probably EIN and your 501c3 status, a few things like that I'm sure you all have. So that's the beauty of that is passive. All of a sudden, Amazon contacts me and says, "Okay, we got another $300 for you." I said, "I'll take it." But onwards, grant raising, revenue sources. Parks and Trails New York. They called me as. The weird thing about COVID is I'm almost grateful because it was like a year off for me, or partially anyways, but Parks and Trails New York called me up and says, "We got $1 million," and they're only dissipating about half of that because people don't want to write grants in that. And it's not that difficult once you get immersed in it. But a website, you have a website. Keep your social media updated as well as your websites. The interesting thing about Facebook is it shows demographics. I can tell you out of our, let's say our small page, 12,000 followers, that 1,300 are from the city of Buffalo, 600 are from Cheektowaga, 75 are from Salamanca. I can tell you their sex, I can tell you their age. It is amazing, and that's all at the touch of the administrator's hands. It's just tool around till you find that. But you can tap into that. You can see who the donors are, and et cetera, et cetera. The demographics are amazing. And target your audience. There's also Facebook advertising. I'm sorry, did you have another question? Okay. Partnerships. We have formed partnerships over the years. We are the newest nonprofit organization in the park's 100 years, which was this year, 2021, last year. And we are the newest organization, just going on 10 years. There's the Allegany Nature Pilgrimage, been going for 62, 63 years. Allegany Geobash, about 15 years. Historical Society, about 30 years. And a couple of smaller organizations that aren't necessarily 501c3s, but they've been around, Allegany Nordic, et cetera, et cetera. We have partnered with them for the mutual benefit of the love of our park. And it's not, it's very easy. First of all, you have the commonality of the love of your park, so it's very easy. People are very approachable. It's like me sitting around the campfire and playing guitar, and somebody comes up to me, and we'll just sit and shoot the breeze for a couple of hours. It's amazing. Oh, you know this person. Oh, you know that person. Oh, my grandfather went here, and blah blah blah. So it's a very approachable situation when you have like-minded people. So get together with other organizations and partner with them. And case in point, because of our social media reach, we're able to promote their events on our social media, and vice versa. When we ask them, they are more than happy to do so. We have, when they've reached out to us, we've given some funds to it, but we do have a kind of a strict policy in which one of our board members says, "Oh, we should all have uniforms." I says, that's great and everything, but that's not what we're about. We need to fix things and paint things and build things and that. We don't need to look like we're matching Bopsy twins or what have you. But anyways, now these other organizations have donated to us as well. The Sawmill is something everyone's anxious, myself included, just to get a soft opening on. And these organizations have donated to us for that, and that's fantastic. So it's mutually beneficial. Chambers of commerce. You have to have 100 chambers of commerce throughout the area in the Adirondacks and that. Tap into them. Whatever they can offer. And as your Facebook and social media grows, you can share their events on there. It can get a little daunting though, because there are so many events up there and so many chambers of commerce. So pick and choose whatever region you want to promote or whatever, and get buddy-buddy with the chambers of commerce in that region. Okay. Now, again, some of the stuff doesn't pertain to you. We have a park concessionaire. I helped him out with his social media, and in turn, he donated to our raffles. He allowed us to sell our raffle tickets at his shop, et cetera, et cetera. A great loss for the park. He just retired this year. Already trying to schmooze the new guys, and I understand that it's a national company, but they like working with the locals, and we have the clout to say, hey, they opened up, and this is open this week, and this and all that. That's just mutually beneficial. It would be wise for them to help us a little, because we can help them a lot. So, okay, newspapers, et cetera, et cetera. The trouble with the newspapers is that Allegany is a lot more local, even for Buffalo. All the newspapers are running out of content, so you can always get a blurb in there, for the meetings and things of that nature, Amherst, whatever. And it doesn't, of course, you want it to be free. You're a nonprofit. You don't want to spend money unnecessarily. So our major projects have been the renovation of the 6 Macintosh Trail cabins. The sawmill is still ongoing, and then our regular events are often trail cleanup, fire pits, trimming back brush, painting things of that nature. It's New York State's tough to volunteer, and I tell you, they got a lot of rules and regulations. You got to be 18 to paint. We're not painting with lead paint, but nevertheless, just got to be patient and make those hurdles, and we're trying to help you, folks. Every one of you is an ambassador. Act like it. Social media posts, make your own cards, business cards. I make my own cards. I don't dip into the kitty for that. T-shirts, brochures, and give credit where credit is due. So I'm not. We have a lot younger folks in our group and all that kind of stuff, and I tell them, don't post about your latest marijuana purchase if you're on a board member or something like that. So this really doesn't pertain to you, but have some decorum. Act like an ambassador. If you're affiliated with your organization, be proud of it. Push it on your social media. Share the posts that the administrators make as often as possible, and ask them to share. Records are extremely important. All the hours we track convert into something odd. Like, they pay volunteers, volunteer rate is like $26 an hour in New York State. And this is a like-kind match for grants, okay? So, gosh, I think we had 1,600 hours in last year. And this is through our events, through our staff, and this and that and the other thing. All of our staff is required to count their hours, and then at the end of the year, we tally them up. But we have so much in the funds that we don't have to use like-kind matches for our grants, and that we can just plop the 10% down or whatever, which is a good position to be in. But financial records, audits, memberships, minutes, like-kind donations. I had stuff scattered all over my hard drive, and we've had some wonderful treasurers and membership chair people, and they're still with us and all that kind of stuff. But finally got down to it and said, we got to get this stuff together. So our digital records are in very good order, and then we have physical records as well, minutes and everything else. And what's important about that is when you pass the torch, and Pam and I were saying, I hope somebody I can pass the torch to, because I feel like I'm going to be president for life, and that could be another 6 months. But if try to get somebody is excited, and I don't expect anyone to do as much as I've done or whatever, but I'll be there to support the next generation. The nice thing is once again, we have families. We got kids at the meetings and at these events that are young to I got 12-year-olds to 18-year-olds and everything else helping out, and instilling that sense of stakeholder, that they're all stakeholders in the park. Records. So we have a board book, of course. We have a memorandum of understanding with the state and the park, a mission statement, and I'm sure you have, I imagine you have all that stuff as well. And you know, any of these different things make for good fodder for poor displays. And but they also set ground rules, and I say I don't know a lot, but I know a lot more than I used to, and so there's always circumstances where we got to make up a new rule, and then the board votes on it, or the board can critique it. I'm growing a lot of thick skin doing this, believe me. But staff members, advisors, and duties. So we have staff members, we have advisors, people that specialize in fields, grants, and environmental policy and history. And so we have a very diverse staff, if you will, that we can tap into. And a lot of the folks, we ask if you can donate 8 hours a year for environmental consultation, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, tap into people's talents. Don't scare anyone away by saying, oh, you got to be here at every single time. We require the board members to be at half the events and half the meetings, basically, because people are busy, you know. And if you can get a huge amount of people to come just one time, you know, and they might really enjoy it and come back, but just keep that momentum going. Okay, and back to is outline everything that is done annually for your organization. That's on here. Basically, we have so many different duties. We have 29 activities. We do tower tours. We have volunteer events. We run I Love My Park Day. We support the park in National Public Lands Day. We support the park in First Day Hike and in the Christmas party. And folks, the park was nice enough to give us a secluded cabin that is not for rent, so that our volunteers can at least stay there. Especially it's critical during the summer months because we can't get a cabin on the weekend. They're only week-long stays, and the summer's already booked up at the park, you know. So, and we have, what we do with that free cabin, it's not a free cabin, it's an earned cabin policy. We track everybody's, we just started implementing this. We track everybody's hours that they come and volunteer. And sincerely volunteer, because believe it or not, we have people show up and say, oh, it's so hot, I can't. They drive around all day, and you see them passing like 4 or 5 times, just sitting in their car. It's like, oh, okay, we're not going to count your hours, probably. But we count the hours, and at the end of the year, we offer the cabins for the tours to folks. They love the cabin. There's so many people that want the cabins that say, okay, well, Jen and her family put in 58 hours this summer or this season or whatever, so she gets a cabin for the weekend and so on and so forth down the line. It's the fairest way to do it, and it's reward. We've also cultivated new board members and staff members doing that. So, alrighty, I'm probably running late.
So is your membership appeal mostly at your events? Or is there anything, like if I were to stay at the park, would I see anything from the Friends of Allegany, or is it?
You would.
Or is it mostly your events that you have? I mean, you have 29 events, that's a lot.
Yeah, well,
that's a lot of exposure.
we have a ton of visibility. You know, we're in the paper often because of different things, as much as possible. We have brochures at the park on both sides of the park. We have business cards. We have a big Save the Red House sawmill as soon as you come into the Red House administration, which, you know, half the campers do see that. And on that is our social media logos, as well as our website. On our website, it tells all the different aspects of the things that we do. And then also an opportunity to donate or join through PayPal. So I think we have about 75 regular members and about the same in lifetime members. And we get some new ones and we get some old ones. And what we've just developed for communications, and so that I'm glad you asked that question, is that we finally got the former membership person, chairperson, she wrote everything down by hand for years. And so I put that onto spreadsheets, and they're divided into lifetime members and past members that their memberships have expired, obviously, and donors. And on those spreadsheets, we're able to circle, and I don't do it all at once so it doesn't come out and go into everyone's spam folders, but I do take that number of like 250 and divide it by 4 and send it out to all of those different groups. And we just sent out our schedule. This is something we just started, and it's so easy to do as far as, we should have been doing this a long time ago. I'm pretty tech, but I'm wrapped up in a few other things to be handling, juggling a lot of different things. But anyways, now I got the secretary on board and the membership person on board. So everyone's communicating. We get those memberships up live. We just posted our annual schedule. Before it really hits on I Love Park Day on the first Saturday in May, we will post that schedule again, because that's when everything, the tours and everything else start happening. So not post, I'm sorry, email everybody out there. Because not everybody's on social media, and thank goodness for that, I guess. But anyways, it's another medium to reach the masses. And you're already targeting people that know about you, and you're reminding the past members that, oh, forgot to pay my dues, or, I'm not going to pay the dues this year, but I'll come and help, And the donors too. Donors, we have some donors that are constant donors. We just yesterday we had a donor. The family paid $50 for a $20 lifetime family membership, annual membership. They paid $50 for $20 worth for the past 5 years. So the membership chairman called me up, and she says they just converted to a family lifetime. And I says, that's good for me. So they've donated $250 basically. So I sent them a nice email. And when we get a lifetime member, we put their family in a short bio on our Facebook page as well. And a lot of people dig that, and a lot of people decline. So, did I answer your question? That's okay.
How do you guys compare to like the Friends of Letchworth? How many? Do you have any idea how big they are versus Friends of Allegany? I mean, similar geographics.
I know I'm friends with Carol Rathburn. She's. We meet at some of the Parks and Trails New York seminars and things of that nature, and we got to talking, and she said her former president just said it was 10 years, and they said, oh, that's it, I'm done. Who wants it? And Carol stepped up to the plate. She didn't know what she was getting into. I honestly don't know, but I can tell you that some of their fundraisers and things of that nature, they have deeper pockets than folks in Allegany, because a lot of folks in Allegany are from the Southern Tier, et cetera, But nevertheless, they seem to be doing wonderful things over there, and once in a while we'll share their triumphs, and that's another beautiful park, no doubt about it. So I believe there's 76 different friends groups I may have mentioned before in the state. And I try to like their posts when I see them. There is a Facebook page for Parks and Trails New York that they're trying to get all these groups on board with, and they're not just, they don't care, So the 25 or so groups that are on there, I post on there, I say, hey, join our Facebook pages. We'll join yours. Let's mutually promote New York State parks. It's, it's a bigger thing necessarily than just Allegany. It's just collectively so much can be done, and so much needs to be done, So, and that's back to partnerships, more or less. Even if we've developed partnerships with Wellesley Island Friends Group, and it's a beautiful region up there in Thousand Islands. But I can't. Anything an event up there is not going to do any good on our social media. But the mutually supportive is just being nice. It's just a nice thing to have. On our board, we've tried to develop, every major duty has a parrot, basically, okay? So if something happens to somebody, somebody else can step up to that plate. Somebody is educated as to how to run that particular facet of operations, okay? So we try to cross-train, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't, but we've really gotten that down over the past couple of years a little bit more. And okay, lifetime members, okay.
I'm thinking, does anyone have a question for Paul? I do.
Okay.
Where is the old sawmill?
Sugar Bush Trail, do you know where that is? In the refuse center?
Which
Red House side.
okay.
So it's on the maintenance, there's a maintenance area back there, and it's on a barricaded road that says no admittance, and it will remain that way until we have a soft opening, and then we'll probably, very soft opening, probably once a month, manned tour, and then we'll see how it goes from there, because it's an ongoing project. But a lot of people sneak back there, but if you're ever in the park, and I'm in the park, I can probably get you in. I know a few people. So, well,
Paul, what about the fireplaces in that building? I was told that they're not using them anymore because they're not up to code and it's too expensive to fix.
oh
Are
gosh.
they gonna have fundraisers for that?
You know, that's a great idea, actually. If we weren't so immersed in the sawmill thing, but I mean, if somebody else was going to take the bull by the horns on that, that's a great idea. It's a shame, yeah. Unfortunately, you know, these things were built, and I'm trying to think when the administration was built in the early 30s, 1932, perhaps. Nowadays, they have to have stainless steel flues and this and that and the other thing. And what happened as a result, all the nice cabins, Ryan, Buffalo 13, et cetera, that had these masonry fireplaces, they all had to have inserts, and they had to have stainless steel pipes going down their throats and everything else, and it took just so much ambiance away from the cabins, and the same with the Red House Administration Building. After millions and millions of dollars of renovations, when they had that gutted, they didn't bother to put in a sprinkler system, and that was like, how can you do that? It's such a beautiful building, it's irreplaceable, you know? So they decided to shut it down, unfortunately. But that's a good idea. Food for thought there.
It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember having the fireplaces lit.
Oh, sure. Especially in the winter, it's just very cozy. That great room, I used to tell my kids, it's my living room of the future, you know. But never quite made that much money. So, but Red House Picnic Shelter and the Quaker Picnic Shelter, being exterior places, they're still going in the wintertime. Red House only. They have the Saturday fires there on both sides to keep the hikers and the snowshoers and whatnot warm, which is nice. And it's also a place to retreat when we're camping on Quaker side. If it's raining, we'll snag a shelter and start a fire in there, you know, so another secret. But, any other questions? Yes?
Sawmill project that you were talking about, how did you go about finding the correct kind of artisans to do that type of work?
Well,
Just curious.
what they strive for, SHPO is the Historic Preservation arm of New York State Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation. And we consulted them, okay, we had a meeting there with management. And basically what they strive for in any park, you know, a 100-year-old park, of course, is historic authenticity, okay? So the next thing is we're replacing all this lumber inside of the mill itself that was chewed up by porcupines, thousands of dollars worth of lumber, okay? And you cannot believe the devastation they did in the 30 years it sat vacant. So we consulted SHPO, and they said, well, and then we consulted the park carpenter. He said larch is going to be the closest type of pine species to match the existing. And so we reached out to an Amish lumber mill, and they milled it exactly to the specifications of the original stuff. And when you go in there, you'll see the old and the new side by side. Now we have $4,000 worth of lumber in there. We've excluded all that. We wrote a grant for exclusion and remediation and sanitation. And we have $4,000 of lumber sitting in there yet to be put on. So we've got to find a contractor to do that. But basically, you know, it's like these floors. It's tongue and groove and everything. And now, I just wrote a grant for the roof, and my research has not led me to believe it had a steel roof, you know, corrugated steel roof, and with an unusual, it's a wavy corrugation. That's the way they made it back in the day. And SHPO's specifications were to put an asphalt roof back on it. So I wrote the grant thinking that SHPO was going to go, the research was done after the fact, SHPO was going to go with the metal roof, so now I got to get funds for the asphalt roof, or the research for the asphalt roof. It's like, be consistent, would you please? You know, we're striving for authenticity as well. The park itself had to replace some rotten members in front of the building, and they were odd-shaped, rough-cut beams that were probably made by the original mill. So they sought out the Amish and said, this is the species, this is the dimensions, and they cut it, you know, just exactly the way it is. So it's not hard to copy. There's nothing that far gone that we can't, you know, find some sort of replacement for it. But the boiler is rotten through. The boiler for the steam engine is rotten through. And I don't think we're going to replace that, but we're going to have to jack it up, put a cradle underneath it, and weld some plates underneath it, just for appearance sake and all that. So, but it all goes through groups, historic preservation groups, the state, run by the state, basically, and then it trickles down to us. So I have to ask management, they have to ask them, and then it goes back to them, and it's tedious, but well worth it. It'll be nice, you know, when it's all done. It's not like we slap-shacked it together when it was all done, you know, so. Any other questions? Alrighty. I think I covered all my bases, and I know you're on a schedule, and I think I'm good on that schedule as of 7:15, right?
Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. And folks, all of these ideas that I've conveyed are up here. If you want to take pictures with your phone, please do, because if we share each other's knowledge, we all grow, and that's a good thing for New York State. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.